Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. All right, looks like we are live. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. This should be a quick little live. Just wanted to touch base on where we are right now on our amateur investigation into the Evan Clark and Pandora Kjolsrud murders, also known as the Mount Ord murders. What's up, Ghost? You didn't miss anything. We're just getting started. So everybody just hang tight and we'll get going at about the 5-minute mark. Well, it is Thursday, June 19th, 2025. Another day winding down. We are broadcasting live from Phoenix, Arizona. Today we're diving into the Evan Clark and Pandora Kjolsrud murders, also known as the Mount Ord murders. Happened over this Memorial Day weekend, and they have no suspects, and murders go unsolved. All righty. Looks like we're coming up on the 5-minute mark. So I'm going to go ahead and play you some footage from today. Me and the fam, we took a trip out there to Mount Ord. It's about an hour and a half drive, give or take. And we did some snooping around. I have successfully submitted FOIA requests for everything relating to the case. That was successfully done today. I have established a connection there within Maricopa County, within the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. So I've been a busy beaver today. So I went to the crime scene out there on Mount Ord. Once you get to the turnoff, it's about a 17-minute drive. What you're seeing right here is at the crime scene. Don't mind those pedestrians. It's just my wife, my youngest, and my oldest dog. Don't worry, I checked out the area. I even scoped it out from the sky. So, what's up, Boston? So, if you're driving from Phoenix to Payson, Arizona, Mount Ord is about 25 miles outside of Payson. And you'll pass it if you're driving from Phoenix to Payson. You'll go right by it. So there are heavy fire restrictions. They do have a fire tower. But I believe this area right here might be in a blind spot. And there was definitely a fresh fire there. And there's no way you can drive a car up here. You can drive it up to about right over here, and then you got to get out and walk. So early reports stated that Evan and Pandora were found away from their vehicle. So it makes sense because even my wife was afraid to drive. She was the one that drove up here. She gets car sickness, so she drives. But I had to drive back here because she couldn't do it. So if they had a car, I could definitely see them kind of parking a ways away and then walking up and maybe scaring somebody that wasn't expecting company. What's up, Sherry Faye? Yeah, I'm just going to start going live a lot more, actually. Good to see you, Boston. That's tall boot area. Yeah, if you walk deep into the bush, I brought my boots, but the area that I investigated was kind of what you're seeing right here. I walked this whole perimeter around the crime scene. I found a few items. So we took footage from the bird and the eye in the sky, and also with the iPhone 16. Yeah, it's pretty big out there. So if you keep going past the campsite area, it looks like it just keeps getting pretty rough. So you can see we're actually parked right here where Evan and Pandora were actually said to have been camped out at. Here, let me pause this. So if you walk this way and you walk out here, you have a perfect view of the sunset. But one thing I noticed, you see these trees right here that are all chopped down? And there's also a bunch of deer bones kind of over here. And I'll show that when we switch over to the iPhone. But yeah, I mean, it's possible that somebody was living right here because it's smack dab in the middle of a game trail. So if you were living here, you would have access to water because there's a creek down below. Really, all you need is one deer, and then you smoke it, make a bunch of jerky. You could live off that for probably a month or two. And nobody really comes over here. The only time anybody would have any reason to come over here is if they were forced to, like on Memorial Day weekend, right? They want to go to their favorite spot, but they can't because somebody's there. They're like, oh shit, it's packed up here. I forgot it's Memorial Day weekend. Let's pull up a map. Right here is a designated spot on the map. Like it has a little, there's like a little symbol. It's very inviting. It's like, oh, check this out. And then if you look at it from the map, it has this little circular area off the road. And it looks like a nice little camp spot. But really, this road's pretty rough. You see how it's kind of torn up right here? Yeah, I don't recommend taking a car back there. But I think that would also explain why they were found away from their vehicle. They're like, oh, the map shows that it's just right up here. Let's just walk. And I'll show you because I walked also. So on the iPhone video, I walk all the way back up where I believe they parked. And if they walked all the way down, let's say they had an ice chest or something like that, or chairs, a tent, maybe a sleeping bag, or maybe they just were going to come sit over there, watch the sunset, and then walk back to their car and leave. I think it's possible they disturbed somebody. They disturbed somebody that was disturbed. I think that's a possibility. I don't know for sure. Don't want to overlook that. After being at the actual crime scene, I got more of that kind of vibe. Let's go ahead and pull up some of this, the iPhone footage. Show you some boots on the ground. Okay, this one starts right in the fire pit. So if this is somebody that's been kind of staying there, they like Michelob. I think that's what it says, Michelob right there. And I could see it getting a little bit cold at night, but I don't think you would want to give yourself up with a fire. You know, somebody might be able to see it. This seems more like a fire for food. All right. So this is me on foot. We're parked right here. And I don't know if law enforcement went through it. It looks like they kind of dug through it a little bit. So I'm going to walk the road. I just want everybody to see how rough it is. You can keep going down the hill, but we didn't. We just went right to the camp spot and then left. See, it's pretty rough. I don't know if you can make it through there with the car. You would have to have some skills. So I'm thinking they were checking on their GPS. Well, where else could we go? Like we came all the way out here. Well, let's just keep going further. Well, a car can make it till about to the top of that hill right there. And then at that point, you got to stop, especially right here. So they would have came in from this direction right here, the direction the camera's pointing in. That's the way we came in from, right there. So on the map, it's highlighted right here, like it's a designated like camping spot or parking area. See, and there's a marker there, 626, and there's another one closer to the campsite. So it's a designated spot invisible on the map. So I'm figuring if their spot was already occupied, and they're honestly, you would have to go this far back to maybe find an open area. It's Memorial Day weekend. Um, the other ones are just right there. You know, they're very convenient. You have to go quite a ways back to reach the spot. Even I've never been this far back. On the way in, the place was crawling with firefighters. And if we have time, I'll play you the video that I took on the way out. I recorded the entire way out, and they're kind of parked right where we typically would camp or come hiking. I've never been this far back, so I really didn't know what to expect. Really, yeah, it's like a mixture of desert and forest. It's right at that in between elevation. Um, let's see. Ghost says, "How far are the other spots from this one?" Not too far. Maybe 2 miles. Here, let's see if we can pull it up. Pull up the map. So now I'm behind. Hold on. So I wasn't paying attention. Let me start this part over. So there's the other marker, 27. So now I'm just kind of looking around the area. All right, let's see if I can help you understand what this area looks like. Okay, so you come in off the highway right here, and this is the B line or the 87. And you just take this road up. Any car can take this. It's a little rough, but nothing. It's a little bumpy, but nothing a small vehicle couldn't handle. Well, right here in this area is where most people would typically camp or hike, and this is the area that I was familiar with. Right, you have a spot right here you could hike up to if your car can't make it. There's like little camping spots all through here. And this is where the firemen were kind of parked. There was a white truck on this side and a large, looked like a water tanker or something right here. So if this was all full, and even that, I think they might have even wanted to come over here to this spot. Let's see. So right here is a nice little spot, especially if you're just going to watch the sunset or sunrise, either way. Um, you would park here, and you would just kind of walk over here, or you could just hang out there. But if you wanted to go a little bit further, there's a pull off right here, and you have an excellent view, kind of overlooking the Phoenix Valley. No, Boston. The thing is, I don't think they were using that fire at night. I think they were killing deer. This is just a theory. This is my first theory. Is that they came up here hoping to possibly go right here to one of these easy spots, right? All of these would be great for watching the sunset, especially anything on this side of the mountain. But maybe they didn't realize it was Memorial Day. Because there's going to be people partying all over this damn thing. So you're going to check all these spots right here and you're going to say, damn, there's people here. And then you're going to pull up your Google Maps. And this area right here pops up. God, my computer's so slow. Let me zoom a little bit back. Right there. So these are your typical areas over here. A couple little camp spots right here. They're not really designated camp spots, but people camp here. And then from here on out, it's 4-wheel drive. But if you're able to, you can just pack all your shit into your buddy's 4-wheel drive, or you can hike it up to this spot right here. So that's the Mount Ord that I know. If you're just coming in off the city just to watch the sunset, and that's the Mount Ord that you know, yeah, these spots are all going to be taken up on Memorial Day weekend. But if you pull it up on Google Maps, this spot right here is highlighted. Like if you were to pull it up on your phone, right here. And this is where the crime scene is. Some of the information that was released is that they were found away from their vehicle. And after being at the crime scene, that makes sense, right? Because if they drove a car, and I'm not sure what type of vehicle they would have to stop right here. There's no going any further. But on Google Maps, there's a campsite highlighted just within reach, right? You can't get down there with your car, but it's a short hike. It's right there. You know, all we got to do is walk down this hill. We're not staying. And if you kind of come out here onto this peak area, you can actually watch the sunset. There's a great view right here as well. Looking towards the west. So if you park your car there and you hike down here, and then when you get here, there's somebody there and they don't let you leave. You know, for all you know, they have psychosis or something. So this is the road. They would have parked their car and started walking down this way. What's up, bad actors? Welcome in. Mark, good to see you. Ghost, I feel if it were that packed, somebody would have heard something, surely. Is it even hunting season? No, it's not hunting season, but right here in areas like this, it doesn't matter. People just constantly shoot off guns. And you'll see when I get to the crime scene, there's bullet casings everywhere. I even brought a few home. These are 10 millimeter. I don't think I've ever shot a 10 millimeter. They look pretty old, but then again, somebody could have been living out here. There's no reason for anybody else to really come out here unless it's Memorial Day, and then they're forced to. They might have like migrated onto somebody's like quote unquote territory. Yep, I believe it was just a day trip. They left on the 25th. I think they were going to watch the sun go down and come back on the 26th. Now, right here, as a camper, if you guys are seasoned campers and you guys are experienced, you should notice what's going on right here. And see, I found all these deer bones. These ones are pretty old, but they're right there in the sun, so I really don't know how old they are. But you see right here, somebody was cutting this few trees down back here for firewood. And they were using all these small twigs. To me, that it looks like they were, if it was for food, they were smoking a deer. And I'll show you, I found like a part of a deer leg. No, bad actors. There was no alcohol or drugs in their system. Um, no sexual assault on either one. I just finished doing the FOIA request today. So anything that's public, I'm going to get my hands on soon enough. So I'll be able to tell you guys more as soon as I know more. This is right behind the camp area there. And it looks like if somebody was living there, this was their bathroom area right here. It's kind of like secluded. See, and it appears they were using all these little pieces of wood to feed the fire. Chopped them down with a chainsaw and then took all the small pieces and broke them down. Fresh too. Clyborg, Hobo Bandit. Maybe. You know, it's Memorial Day. Maybe he wasn't expecting anybody to be back there. And really, the only reason for them to be back there was Memorial Day. Hey, what's up, Cindy Lean? Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. It's good to see you. Is there water near there at all? Yes, there's a creek that runs through there. These are some of the items that I found. It was like a Sharpie. I picked this up and took it with me. It looked fresh. So anything that I saw that looked new, I just took it. There's shotgun shells everywhere. You can see that red thing. I didn't take that. I should have. It looked pretty new. But there were shell casings all through there. Different types. So I'm right behind the campsite. You see that? This is fresh right here. These are fresh cuts. And there's no wood laying anywhere. And that's a lot of wood to burn. So either there was some big ass party here and they didn't give a shit, right? Either there was some big party and they're burning all this wood and they're having a great time and they're all just hanging out. And then somewhere back here, things kind of go crazy. But once I went out there, that's not what it feels like. It feels like maybe somebody was living out there. And what we're looking at is basically their fire source. You know, it does get cold out there at night. See, look at that fresh. That's a chainsaw. Goes. So if it were someone living out there, they'd need a bike or something, I presume. I can see them hiking away from the crime scene back to town or sticking around. Yeah, there's probably 100 different places where you could hide your car. Maybe he parked it on the side of the road and just walked away from it. A lot of people who are suffering from psychosis, that's what they do. They'll just pull over somewhere, get out of their car, maybe take their rifle, and they'll just start walking. So if he's kind of back there losing his mind, trying to get away from everything, and then you have these two city slickers that just kind of come stomping through his territory, maybe he just said, well, now you can't leave. They're like, oh, sorry, we didn't realize that you were here. And maybe he was doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing. Maybe he was butchering a deer, poaching. So there's the view right there. Let me go back. So there's the view, and the sun would be setting like right over here. Right? They had to go a little bit further, but they found their view. Oh shit, our car is not going to make it, but it's right around the corner. So they hike down. Once they come around the corner, they say, "Oh shit, there's this crazy guy here." And it looks like he's living here. And they're like, "Oh, sorry. We didn't mean to disturb you. We'll leave." And he's like, "No, you can't leave now." Yeah, there is hunting down there, Boston. You can legally hunt there. I just don't think it's hunting season right now. Because you can't it would be a fire hazard. Usually it's not in the dry seasons right there. But yeah, there's deer and elk. Mainly deer. That's what it looked like out there. It looked to me like The reason they picked this location is because it's a blind spot for the watchtower. Because there's people in there 24/7. They're watching for wildfires. But if you're on this side of the mountain, it's a blind spot. So they wouldn't even notice your smoke. And there's really no reason to go back there. And maybe only using the fire during the day just to smoke some of the deer that he's been poaching. Have jerky for months. Yeah, or clearing an area to set up a camp, that too. But they cut down those trees and the woods nowhere to be found. So whoever it was either a large group they were burning wood all night long, throughout the night. Could have been a party. It's Memorial Day. Let's go party out there. Oh, look, see, there's the deer leg that I found. And it looks somewhat fresh. And it was right back there where all that wood was kind of torn down. So if I had to guess, at least a month in that hot sun, maybe less. And it could have been in the fire too. Um, YouTube ad actor says they were maybe looking for a secluded spot to have sex. From my understanding, they were not together, and it's like their friends and family. Everybody seems to be going out of their way to make that a point. I did do a little bit of snooping, and my hunch might have been right. I did contact somebody that was friends with Evan, and he stated that he dated him, the person that I contacted. And I did have a hunch that he may have been either bisexual or gay. And that's why they were making it a point to say, hey, they're not a couple. They were just really good friends, and they shared the same hobbies. And then I contacted a friend of theirs, and this friend said that he used to date Evan. So I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what he said. They're getting very desperate, Cindy. That's why I went out there. I watched a report where the mom was just completely frustrated. And I said, that's it. I'm going to file a FOIA request. And thank goodness, got it taken care of today. So we'll have some answers here pretty soon. They're pretty good here in Maricopa County when it comes to the giving the public what's owed to them for the most part. So I should definitely have some answers for my audience. That's for sure. And like I said, we went out there today. These are some of the things that we found. And I'm getting more of the vibe like they may have stumbled upon something they shouldn't have. But either way, there was a fresh fire there. I even brought back some of the wood that I found. There it is right there. Better look. Looks pretty old. Yeah, like maybe it's illegal to be poaching deer back there. So either maybe they stumbled upon a serial killer for all we know. But whatever happened, I think it may have been an accident. It's either that or they're at some big party and there's a bunch of people that are keeping a secret. I feel like we would have had answers by now if that was the case. Like I said, I've been to Mount Ord probably a handful of times throughout my life. It's an hour drive outside of the city. If you're trying to get to Pine Trees, this is one of the first stops. But even myself, I've never been this far back. I've never had to. You get to the Pine Trees. There's camping right here. You have a beautiful view of the sunset. You call it a night. You set up your camp and you get all fucked up or whatever you want to do. That's what because I went out here in my younger days. So there's no reason to go this far back. It doesn't make sense. But Memorial Day weekend, there's tons of traffic back here. Everybody, it's hot. Everybody in Phoenix wants to go to the mountains. It's just the way it is. So I could totally see that all the spots that they were hoping to get were taken. There's only maybe 4 spots, really. There's not a whole lot to pick from. Ghost, no indication of a large fire, though, just a small, consistent fire. I mean, I wouldn't call it small, but I wouldn't call it large. We'll go back to the fire. I'm pretty sure. I think I go back there pretty soon. Bad actors. Were you scared to go there? No, but my wife was. They were in the car locked up, but we brought plenty of firepower. And like I said, I walked the perimeter before we did anything. Before I turned my back, um, I used the eye in the sky to check every little nook and cranny, and I was just cautious. So I figured anybody that was interested in the case might want to get like a first-hand look at the crime scene area. So I just kind of did a little bit of a walkabout. But there's that area that I was referring to. It's been completely cleared out. See right here up at the top. So yeah, maybe a camp, people setting up a tent, maybe. Yeah, it's a good thought. It's pretty rough though. Hey, what's up, Jay? Right. So here, there's more, like there's bones all over the place. That was like an old vape cartridge. It looked pretty old. Old car lighter. I don't know. That's a good question. See right here, it's pretty flat. Here, let me run that back. That does look like maybe a tent was right there. Who was the person who brought up the tent? See, right here, it does kind of look a little flat. Yep, we're doing it, Cindy. We're vested. After I saw Evan's mom crying the other day, I was like, oh, shit. It's like I didn't even have a choice. I was like, well, we're going to, hopefully somebody's already done the digging and provided the answers. But either way, we're going to throw them out there in the public spaces and get to her. And anybody else that's interested. Yeah, there was definitely a small feel of danger, Cindy, because I mean, you never know. We don't know who we're dealing with. We know that criminals do return to the crime scene. Although I believe statistically this is most likely a personal crime. The way that everything's kind of playing out, but I'm also building a theory off of a lot of unknowns. Like I don't know what type of vehicle they drove, but they referred to it as a car. So if they were driving a car and their bodies were found away from the car, in my experience with Mount Ord is sometimes if we drove up in a car, we would have to get out and hike a ways. So instantly I thought, well, if it's a car, you can take it most of the way there, but sometimes you got to hike a little bit of the rest of the way. That would explain why they were found away from their car and then over here near this campsite. So if they had to walk a ways, they might have surprised somebody. Yeah, they might have eyes. And then look, this is something else really weird that I found. It was like a purse or something. There were some kids' toys in there. Some makeup. And I think this is like a fake passport. I can't tell what the hell that was. It didn't look real. You can see the bullet casings just kind of laying all over the place. There was nothing in that wallet. I'm sure they did, bad actors. You never know if they forgot something though or missed something. So where I'm at, it's basically a game trail and it cuts right through that camp. So early in the morning, if you were a hunter, you could probably just sit there and camouflage with a gun or a bow and arrow. And and a deer would eventually walk up to you. Shell casings, those ones are pretty old, but they're everywhere. Cindy, maybe one of them was catfished and wanted to go, other to go meet the person nefarious. Well, apparently this is a place that they like to go. Like they went here often. Not really to camp. This was like a hair tie, like a scrunchie. But from my understanding, and I could be wrong, Cindy, but the way I understand it, they would only kind of just go to spend the night. They would go right around the time of sunset and then spend a couple hours out there and then come back. Maybe a handful of hours. So not real camping. And I'm telling you, some of those sunsets out there are incredible. They're confirmed dead. They were shot. They were both killed. No drugs, no alcohol. They don't believe any of that was involved. No suspects. All we know is that Evan and Pandora were found somewhere away from their vehicle. So I'm just kind of checking out the entire area, seeing if anything stands out to me, documenting it so you guys can look as well. Camera's not the clearest, but Cindy, thank you so much. Hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, they're most likely going to slap me with like a $50 fee. So that does help. Appreciate that. Good. Very thoughtful. At first, I thought that was a rubber glove. That was just a balloon. So that's not a rubber glove. And that was something that I was expecting to see out there. Lots of times, when you go to a crime scene, you'll see some rubber gloves left behind. Thanks, Mark. Who was the lucky recipient? You are a real life sleuth. Kinda. They always said find something that you really want to do and then go do it. And then you'll be happy. So that's what I'm trying to do. Try to make myself useful. This is Mount Ord, Arizona. So if you're traveling north between Phoenix and Payson, you'll pass Mount Ord. This is about 25 to 30 miles outside of Payson, Arizona. And really only about an hour and a half drive from the city. So if you live in Phoenix and you're like, damn, I want to go camping or I want to get out of the city, I want to go get higher into the elevation, see some pine trees, this would be basically your first stop. Ghost, yeah, but not like that. Not in this kind of a camping area. But yeah, I mean, typically when you go out to the woods, you'll see elk bones and deer bones and stuff like that. It is very typical. Because I guarantee if you camped like right here at about 4 in the morning, you might just see a whole bunch of deer walking through there. All right, let's put a pause on this one and go back to the eye in the sky. So notice, see the areas that I was talking about that look cleared out? So let's say you're kind of living right here, you're some kind of hobo. These little areas are all cleared out. Either that or you're with a large group, but there's plenty of room for tents, right? You have room for a tent right here. You have a spot for a tent right here. Like you have all these little spots that kind of go around the campfire where you could set up a tent. No reason to really do it back here. See where these are chopped down? So I don't know. There's been fire restrictions for a long time, so whoever was doing this was breaking the law. It's like a $10,000 fine. Ghost, if we're able to, we requested the ballistics as well. We requested everything. I would show it to you, the FOIA request, but it has all my personal information on it. Now, this gets pretty steep back here. So you could only probably walk to about right here before you started feeling the gravity. You continue to impress me, Cindy. Gang, gang. I think it might be biblical. It's a good question. I don't know. First thing that popped in my mind, it sounds biblical. That looks almost like we're live, but slightly more chaparral than my mountains. A little bit more rocky and desert. Yeah, this isn't quite high enough. You're still going to get a little bit of that desert terrain. Not to mention this mountain has burned a couple times. So it looks really dry like these trees, but really those kind of burnt down at one point. And that's a remnants of a really big fire. Ghost. Glad you got this footage. My girl refused to let me go out there. Yeah, there's a lot of people that, want to get their eyes out here. So I did it for you guys. You know, we love the outdoors. I know the girls wanted to get out of the house anyway. So let's watch one more and then we'll get out of here. Don't forget, we have a live stream scheduled for tomorrow on this case. And we're going to do a deep dive and we're going to play all of this footage that I got. And we're going to talk about some other things. Yep, Boston. So imagine if you have a fire, that's a $10,000 fine. And then on top of that, you're poaching. And that's just a wild kind of theory right now, but it's not really a theory. It's just something I'm not overlooking. Statistically, this is a personal crime. No robbery, no sexual assault, nothing weird. It was like, I'm going to end your lives. You did something that I can't allow, and therefore I have to commit the ultimate sin. But the location, right? The criminology of it. Criminology versus the typology is kind of messing with me. So we're just kind of snooping around at this point. We got the eagle eye. The Sleuth Crew Eagle Eye. Right. Some more trees cut fresh right there. You know what? I asked my wife that because there was a few abandoned vehicles not too far away, and I was like, "You think it's possible they picked up a hitchhiker?" Rare. I do see people that hitchhike back here, but rarely. It's very rare. Mark, yes. So right now we're just kind of sweeping the perimeter, making sure there's nothing I missed. Ghost. I feel like somebody living out there is reaching a bit. They had friends who knew they went out there and have gone out there prior. That is fact in this case. Yeah, it is true. But it's also true that they never went this far back. So I'm not going to jump the gun. And like I said, it's not like a leading theory. It's just something that I don't want to overlook. So I'm also investigating that as well. But yeah, statistically, this is somebody that they know, a family member, a friend. It's definitely somebody that it's most likely somebody that they know. The person who killed them had a reason for it, whether that's a secret or revenge or a crime of passion. All right, guys, this will be our 5 minute warning. If there's anything you want to add, just remember we're going live on this case tomorrow. We'll do a deep dive and we'll take a look at everything that I found and everything I've been able to dig up so far. We'll end the poll. Could social media help crack the Mount Ord murders? 61% of you said yes. It's key to finding leads. I agree with that. It's like the more eyes, the better. 33% of you said maybe, but it's a long shot. 6% of you said no, it's too unreliable. Shame on you. That's what I've been looking for, Ghost. So if you guys want to do some digging and, let me know if you find anything. Sleuthintuition@gmail.com. Send me an email. If you find anything interesting on the Evan Clark and Pandora Kjolsrud murder case. But wouldn't the hitchhiker have stolen their car? Yeah. Most likely, right? Maybe. I don't think it's a good theory. I just don't think they would do it. I don't think they would pick up a hitchhiker. But then again, I don't know a whole lot about them. They both seem to be very sweet people or were sweet people. So it's possible A lot of times these crimes happen to those who care the most, unfortunately. So I mean, yeah, maybe they did pick up a hitchhiker. The Benjamin Anderson case out of Phoenix, they said he was that way to a fault, and people like that are easy to take advantage of. All you have to do is look pathetic, right? Oh, poor me. And they're like, oh my God, I got to pick this poor wet puppy up. They just want to heal the entire world. And then you have people like us, we can kind of see the wolf's ears kind of popping up behind the sheep's clothing. We're like, wait a minute. You don't look like grandma. That's not grandma. Something's not quite right. You ain't my grandma. Have a good night, Mark. Special thanks to Cindy. Very generous of you. Thank you, Mark. I'm sure somebody's happy. Somebody out there might be a member. If you are, thank Mark. Bartlett Lake. What would you consider close? What's that? Cash me voy. Serial killer kidnapped them and vehicle and walked them out there. Well, this is a location that they were known to visit or frequent. It was one of their favorite places. It's just usually they wouldn't go that far back. So yeah, it's possible if they went to their normal spot, not all the way up to the top of Mount Ward, and then a serial killer came up the same road, sees them. But then again, the serial killer would have to walk away from the car. He left the car. So that's, unless there was a secondary vehicle. We can always go down the rabbit hole as long as we're willing to come back and not go too far. It's getting scary. Remember that guy that he liked going down rabbit holes and he got stuck? And he just sat there stuck in the rabbit hole until his life just kind of fizzled away. They tried to feed him. So he tried to hold on as long as he could, but he went too deep. Don't be that guy. What's up, Ruckus? Good to see you. Ruckus rocks. Clyborg, secluded Zodiac style. Yeah, you know what? If it is a serial killer, it was very clean. And that is kind of like Zodiac. Somewhat. Some hints there. I could see that. It's over. You'll never take me alive, Kappa. Alrighty, guys. That's going to do it. You've been a great crowd. Big shout out to the Sleuth crew. And don't forget tomorrow's live stream. Like I said, this was just a quick conversation, open discussion, show you a little bit of footage. But tomorrow, we dive deep. Not too deep. But we will be going scuba diving. So bring your wetsuit, your tanks, your masks, everything that you need. I'm not sure, J Ray. I'm going to find out, though. Like I said, I submitted my FOIA request, and I did it in a very specific way. And I made contact with somebody down there at the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, so I already have a good contact. And that helps things kind of get it expedited. Rule number 1 in journalism: make contacts. The replay crew, shout out to the replay crew. Don't forget your goggles. Thanks again, Cindy, and everybody have a great night. But it's past my bedtime. But thanks for hanging out. See you later, guys. Peace.